What's up, everybody? Welcome back. On the show today, Dallas and I are going to fulfill all the requests that we have had to tell our own stories. I'm Jeremy Miller.
I'm Dallas Terrell.
And we are the Betterment Bros. All right, everybody, as we said up top, Dallas and I have been getting a lot of requests to share our own stories in more detail than we have previously.
That's right, Jerem.
Yeah.
Today feels like the perfect day to do that.
It does. It does. It feels like, yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Just seems necessary.
Yeah. You know, we've dropped some really good episodes the last couple weeks, and, we've had quite a few people reach out and say, hey, maybe you guys should tell your own stories, and about how we got to where we are and, stuff like that. And so we're going to do that. We're going to break it up in a little double feature.
Double feature.
All right. Because, I don't know. It just seemed right.
There's two of us.
Yeah. 2 episodes, double feature. Boom.
That's what we're going to get.
But before all of that, Dallas.
Something must happen.
We have a tradition on the show, and that is the 2-minute takeaway.
The 2-minute takeaway is a tradition here. It's a staple here at the Betterment Bros studio. And yeah, basically we just started off with some gratitude. I'll go first.
Okay.
I got the mic. Let's do it.
All right,
I'm
go
feeling
for it.
Super grateful. This week, man, big takeaway for me is, I guess I would just say, I know last week was like gym, working out, stuff like that. I'm so predictable,
Mm-hmm.
But my takeaway this week is more examples of your purpose being fulfilled, or more examples of, I guess in a simple way, dude, of just being unapologetically myself.
I like that.
I've had a lot of, I don't even want to say issues, but life, dude. Life just happens, And I feel like I've been available and present to help people that I really care about. And I've been able to be a support system. I've been able to help resolve. I've been able to help solve a lot of problems for a lot of people I really care about.
Yeah.
And looking into that further, that's what I'm here to do, man. I'm here to help. And it's nice to answer the call, answering the call of who you're supposed to be, or who you want to be, all at the same time. So I think, yeah, that's what I'm grateful for, is that's my takeaway, is that I've been able to do and be who I want to be.
Dude, sick takeaway, bro.
Yeah, that's it.
Fucking love that. Embodying your purpose.
Embodying it, dude, and just showing up, man. That's myself to fucking help.
You know who'd love that win, dude? Alan
would appreciate that.
Alan loves it, dude. By the way, if you're listening to this and you haven't listened to our episode with Alan on how to create meaning in your life, create some meaning in your life and listen to that episode.
Yeah, that episode was I still feel like I'm riding the high of
me too
of that experience.
Me too, man. Yeah, fucking Alan, dude.
We're gonna get him back on the show for all you people that are like, why isn't he on the show right now?
Yep.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, why don't you shed some gratitude over on the mic here?
Yeah, I got some, dude. This last weekend, man, me and Mariah, we're always doing shit, for new listeners, Mariah's my girlfriend, and we're always doing a bunch of stuff, which I think is super awesome. I'm working a lot on the weekends, and she's, cruising around all the social circles, and running all the errands so that we keep our house in order, because, to be honest with you, Dall, I'm not that good at that stuff, Me
neither, man.
And she really comes through on that. But this weekend, we had all these plans, all these things to do, and, we kind of acknowledged that that we were kind of pushing, we were kind of hitting the ceiling, redlining, if you will. And so we ended up kind of just saying, to the plans that we had, we said, hey, you know what? Like, we need a breather. And so I think my gratitude is just that, you know, she is so forgiving of all the time that I give all these projects.
Right.
Right. And she is very selfless in that, you know, she knows that this is a big part of me and who I am and my life and my goals. And she'll hang out, dude, in full support, you know, even when I don't give her as much time as I want to or as much time as she would like me to. And, you know, when we both kind of came to it and said, you know what, let's like cancel some plans and just fucking be together, just chilling, not working, not editing, not, you know, whatever, just being, you know.
Love that.
And it was awesome because, you know, I don't have a lot of relationships in my life where I could be like, hey, like I'm pushing my max, you know, and be like open and vulnerable and, you know, put it out there that like, hey, like I think I'm hitting my max. And she's like, me too. We're not going to like get mad at each other for it or take it out on each other, but instead like let's kind of push everything out for a minute and just kind of recenter, anchor in the moment and just kind of like be and recharge, you know? And so I found that moving into, you know, the stuff we did do on Sunday and stuff we've done so far this week, it's been like better because we were able to energize, you know?
Yeah.
And recharge. That's my gratitude, dude. That's my 2-minute takeaway.
Dude, a lot of wisdom there. A lot of wisdom, a lot of things to be grateful for. I know
very
most
lucky.
people don't have relationships like that.
No, I know that I am on an island with very few people like me that have a relationship like the one that I do.
Dude, yeah. Shout out to Martell, dude.
Yeah.
True legend of the game.
She's a legend of the game, dude.
Relationships.
Yeah,
I
and
guess.
you know, to be fair, she probably won't hear this because she's gets sick of me enough. She doesn't need to listen to me while she's driving.
That's true.
You know,
she
but
hears about all your takeaways every single day.
Every day, dude. So if you see her, right, you could tell her, hey, Jeremy had your back on the Betterment Bros today, you know? And she'll be pumped about that.
She'll be pumped, dude.
Yeah.
Right on, brother. Well, I'm excited to get started on this this story. And I think before we do that, I just kind of wanted to say that us talking about us is not easy.
No.
Because that's not our intention behind the show, is to like pump our egos or talk about ourselves or be like selfish. You know, our intention is to help our listeners. Our intention is to be able to create space for our audience, dude, and help resolve and reframe and regain their life and their control. And I feel like part of that is kind of showing that we've been through the muck.
Yeah, man.
And so I just want the listeners and the audience to know that this isn't an ego thing. This is a helpful thing.
Yeah.
You know, we like to share our story to inspire hope.
Yeah.
And kind of just provide a nice, hopeful fucking story. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
I hope you guys get what I'm trying to say.
Well, I definitely do, Dall, and I am biased because I'm in the room with you right now, but I gotta say, dude, you've thrown out some good disclaimers in the past, but this one might rank supreme, dude. That was a fucking spot on disclaimer, dude.
Okay, cool.
If I may tack on a thought.
Yeah, tack it on, man.
Agree with everything. You know, Dall and I are, you know, we're all driven by ego to some degree. And Dall and I have really tried really hard to make sure that our show isn't focused on us. Like, we're not saying shit so that we can like seem cool or like, oh, they're so woke or fuck, oh my God, those guys are living so good. Like,
how do they do it?
Yeah,
like,
we want to listen, you know, and I think a lot of people have asked us, especially recently, about our stories because it's important, I think, to know where the advice comes from, right? And personally, like, my experience has provided me with enough ways to not do things that I was kind of forced to like figure out like
how to do it right,
how to do them right, you know, because you know, and I'm excited to get into that side of things. Because there's one thing about us that I hope you've discovered by now, and that's that we are ourselves, and that's it. Like there's no like social media version of us, you know, because we don't
Or
play
studio
that shit.
version.
Yeah, dude. Like
This is just the version you're gonna get.
this is it, man. Dall's usually in workout gear. I'm sitting here in a Star Wars shirt, man.
Yeah, and we're usually drinking caffeine and
That's
fucking trying to figure out how to help the next person.
That's it,
Or
man.
help ourselves.
That's it.
Or both.
Or both at the same time.
God damn.
So that being said, Dall, who do you want to go first?
I could go first. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I could go first, man. I could definitely go first. So I guess I'll just start talking about my life and what the fuck it's been going on for the last 27 years.
Start at the beginning, dude.
Oh, shit. Well,
Start where it gets good, you know, or
so
bad.
I think I have some experience of sharing my story through recovery in a treatment setting, in an Alcoholics Anonymous setting. And so I'm going to defer kind of back to that.
Sure.
Right? We can skip all the way to 16.
Yeah.
You know,
All
we'll
right.
kind of start there. And I also like to say that my story is nothing crazy or special or unique. It's just mine. That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll try and give it to you that type of manner.
I like that.
In AA, they refer to it as just your garden variety drug addict. You
Yeah.
know, nothing special.
Right.
Just doing drugs and
Yeah.
fucking throwing your life away.
Mm-hmm.
But, so yeah, I mean, I guess to start it off, I was just your average high schooler boy playing baseball, living in Phoenix, Arizona. Went to your occasional party on the weekend. I don't think I started smoking pot till like end of freshman year, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple beers here and there. My dad's in recovery. He's been sober for almost 35 years.
Shout out Jeff.
Yeah, shout out Jeff Terrell. And it's kind of ironic because he'd always say like drugs are the devil, you know? And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? You know, everyone's doing them except you, Dad. You're
Right.
the weirdo, you know?
Yeah.
One of those things where your parents like, you'll understand when you're older,
Yeah.
you know?
And here you are.
Here I am understanding that like you shouldn't do drugs or like drink alcohol, you know? Like if you have an addictive personality.
Yes.
So.
Yes, sir.
Sorry I didn't listen, Dad. I'm listening now. But yeah, man. So high school was cool. I played a lot of sports, played a lot of baseball. I wasn't super popular. I wasn't a loser either, you know, made normal relationships and drank alcohol on the weekends and smoked pot here and there and started to get in trouble. Was kind of the class clown type of deal and ended up moving high school's junior year. I got asked to not come back to high school for just kind of just repeated offenses of doing stupid shit. So I went to a different high school senior year, and it was in kind of a shittier part of town. And my stepbrother went there, and he started experimenting a lot with drugs. Every weekend I'd come home and he'd have some new pill or some new this or some new that. And I kind of started to experiment, let's say, with like ecstasy, Xanax, opiate pills, Vicodin, Percocet, this, that, and third. Fast forward, by the middle of senior year, I was smoking heroin. Smoking heroin, smoking weed, taking Adderall before school, partying on the weekends, getting out of school at 11:30 in the afternoon or in the morning, and then just get high for the rest of the day. And so I was basically, what I'm trying to say is by senior year of high school, I was addicted to heroin, and that kept on, dude, until graduating high school. I don't know how I graduated. I think I graduated with like a 2.7, just barely getting by. And so after I finished high school, my mom moved to Park City, Utah, and my dad moved to Florida. And so I was kind of like, go to Park City, go to Florida, got to go somewhere. I couldn't go live with my dad because I was using drugs. So I was like, all right, I'll move to Utah and clean my act up, go to college, figure out what the fuck I want to do with my life. And I lived in Utah for a year without doing heroin or coke or Xanax or anything really crazy. But I did make some bad connections while I was there, you know, trying to find weed from people and drinking and stuff a lot, really. And until, you know, one day I found the dude that knew where to get heroin in good old Salt Lake City. which blew my mind. I thought everyone there was like Mormon and didn't drink. And it took me like 6 months to find someone that sold fucking pot, out there. I was like, dude, this state is retarded.
Yeah.
Anyways, so long story short, about 19 years old, 18 maybe, 18 and a half. I don't know, dude. I started smoking heroin again in Utah. I think I did that for like a year. Started selling a lot of weed, selling a lot of Xanax. I started making all these connections and basically became who I was before I left. It just took some time to like reinvent the wheel in a different city.
Yeah.
So the first time I went to treatment, I was like 19 and a half. Get this guy knocks on my door. I walk upstairs like 11 in the morning, just woke up. And this dude sits me down. He's like, your parents want you to go to treatment, blah, 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 blah. Ended up going to treatment. Went to detox. After detox, I went to a rehab called Cirque Lodge in Utah. Sick ass treatment center.
Yeah.
Went there for 30 days. And that's my first time ever learning about AA or ever wanting to get sober or realizing I had a problem. Was there for 30 days and I went to a sober living in Oakley, Utah, right outside of Park City, like 30, 40 minutes away. It's called the Sky House. Super sick outpatient treatment, sober living type of thing. Started going to a lot of AA meetings. And I think I put together like 4 months of sobriety before I started having people like bring me drugs into the middle of nowhere because I had no car. So I relapsed like 4 months into it. Was working at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Chefing it up. So I will also put this out. My story is very like convoluted. It's very confusing because there's so much drug use. So even to this day, my timeline of my life is foggy. As an example, there was one time when I was detoxing off heroin. I took Xanax for a whole month, and I woke up and it was winter. I don't really remember a whole season of my life.
Wow.
So there's things like that where if I'm pausing, because I'm really trying to think of like what actually fucking happened, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I go to treatment, get out, go to sober living, relapse, get my own apartment. Now I'm kicked out of sober living, get my own apartment. I'm doing okay. Start selling weed, working at Ruth's Chris, trying to support my habit. I would say like 8-9 months went by until it's full blown shooting heroin now at this point, selling Xanax and weed and doing the whole thing again. Went to another treatment center called Recovery Ways in Salt Lake City. I was there for 30 days.
Good program too.
Great program, yeah. Fucking that place showed me that you could be sober and be happy at the same time.
Wow.
Right. While I was there, we'd play softball or volleyball and we'd do really cool shit.
Yeah.
While sober, they had the most epic experiential program ever.
Yeah.
We go like rope climbing courses and we go kayaking and fly fishing in treatment, dude. It's like luxury.
Right.
Anyways, so after that, I go to another sober living. It's so boring, I feel like, telling this story. Go to sober living. I'm there for 3 months and then I started doing GHB because I figured out it wouldn't show up on a drug test. So all of a sudden, me and my buddy Elliot are like drinking caps and caps of GHB. And if you're ever taking GHB, you're supposed to take a cap full, right? A very small increments. We started taking swigs and life started to get a little weird where you'd be like completely inebriated, but then you'd come back to reality like 30 minutes later.
Right.
I was like, should we do that again?
Yeah.
Then we do it again.
Slippery slope with that shit, dude.
Yeah, slippery slope. So I started seeing this girl while I was there. And she relapsed on heroin. And then I was so sad about it. Like, oh, my girlfriend relapsed on heroin. Like, I'm going to go comfort her and do heroin with her too. So I did that. Next thing I know, I'm kicked out of the sober living. She's kicked out of her sober living. She lived in New York. And I ended up moving out to New York with her. Honestly, because I was really excited to try China White heroin rather than
Black tar.
West Coast black tar heroin. And so I moved out there and got an apartment and lived with her out there for like 3 or 4 months. Worst time of my life. July 4th, I don't forget what year it was. I lived in a furnished apartment. I rented a furnished apartment. July 4th, I had no money. The girl that I was dating was like abducted from my apartment by her dad.
Oh, wow.
Her dad was like, you need to get the fuck out of here, and just showed up one day. I came back from work and she wasn't there. All of her shit was gone. So I don't know, man. July 4th, I sold all of the furniture in that leased apartment for drug money. And then went to work, and like 2 days later, the locks were changed and there was like a notice. And so I got kicked out and all of my stuff was in there. So now I'm homeless, living in Rochester, New York with no money, heroin addict, completely strung out. And I remember, dude, being like so scared and like so like, I've never been in this spot in my life before. I'm like drinking 40 ounces with like the homeless dudes at the park, and they're like dumpster diving for food out of the trash can, sleeping on a cardboard box for like 2 weeks. And
fuck, man.
I was using the public library computer to reach out to anybody and everybody on Facebook. I had no phone. And I was using the public library's internet. You can only use it for 30 minutes at a time. And I'd message everybody I knew on Facebook, like, send me money. Like, I'm fucking stuck out here. I have no plays. I have no moves. Somehow, I don't know, my mom bought me a plane ticket back home after like, I kind of was like brutally honest about what was going on and how nervous I was and just how dark it was. It was like pretty dark, man.
How long were you out there total, you think?
5-6 months, maybe. Homeless for like 2 months, you know, in Rochester, New York.
What season was it?
It was summer.
Oh, that's
thank
good.
God. Yeah, if it was winter, I wouldn't be alive or doing this show, or I don't know.
No.
But yeah, so I must have got a plane ticket back to Utah. And then while I was there, I don't know what happened, dude, honestly. I don't really know what happened, but I do know that I came back, and then the period of time while I was there, I started fucking up more. I think I got put on the Vivitrol shot where you can't use opiates.
Yeah.
And so then I started shooting crack cocaine and Xanax because that's all I could do. And I could just never figure it out. And then I went to another treatment center. Oh no, this is what happened. So I went back to Utah and was living with my parents, living with my stepbrother, on and off, getting kicked out of like all these different places. In that summer, I went to detox every other week for the whole summer.
Oh, wow.
Like, I'd go to detox for a week, get sober, fuck up, and then have nowhere to go, and then go back.
Oh, wow.
And I did that for like 8 weeks in a row until finally I was out of moves. My family was like on a vacation or something. And so I used my insurance to go to treatment in Laguna Beach, California. Went to this place called Spencer's Recovery Center. Total crapshoot, dude. And while I was there, my roommate that I lived there with, I woke up and he was dead from an OD. And
in the treatment program or at sober living? Or?
Yeah, in the treatment program. Yeah.
Fuck,
like,
man.
I remember the night before, he was like hopping out the window. I was like, where you going, dude? And he's like, oh, I'm going to get high, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, cool. I'll see you in the morning. Wake up. He's dead. That's a whole nother story. But so there's that. I'm like 3 days sober, trying to get sober, figure it all out. And so I don't know, something happened and I met this kid and we got his phone and we dipped the treatment center and we stole this guy's credit card and like withdrew a bunch of money from it and got heroin and meth. And I got stabbed trying to buy meth from these random like Hispanic dudes. And then I showed up at the treatment center at 3 a.m. and was like, hey, I'm back, stabbed, high on meth.
Oh,
like, hey,
man.
I'm back. Like, let me in. And the dude, I remember just shaking his head and just like giving me my suitcase and shutting the door.
Dang.
I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? So I pitched a tent, kind of made this tent in this like rock cove in Laguna Beach.
Oh my God.
Middle of the night.
Yeah.
Camped out there for 3 days. Still had this kid's cell phone though from the program, and I got a call from the counselor. It was like, hey, I talked to your mom. They're going to fly you to a different treatment center. You can't come back here, but you just got stabbed and you're on meth and you're like sleeping like in this like cove.
Yeah, maybe you should go somewhere.
You should go somewhere. So then I flew to Florida, other side of the country, to like their sister treatment center. It's like the same thing. I think it was the same name. And I was there, and I get there, everyone's using drugs at the treatment center, dude. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Right. So
this industry has its dark.
It definitely does.
Corners,
it has
dude.
its dark corners, and I've had to experience some of them for sure, which is difficult when you're trying to find the way, you know?
Fuck yeah.
So long story short, I go to Florida. There's this chick there from Baltimore. We kind of started hanging out. She has a lot of money. She starts buying me cigarettes and buying me food, and we're hanging out. And so next thing I know, this chick's like wants to get high, and we go get high, and then we both got kicked out of the treatment center, and it's like, what are we doing, you know? And she had a bunch of money, so she bought a hotel for like 3 weeks, and we just balled out on her dime, getting high and eating food and chilling. And she had like a kid and a husband and a whole family that she was running from,
right?
And was like, I gotta go to back to my family in Baltimore. And I was like, how come, you know? Like, we'll just like use drugs there, you know? Like, we'll just keep using your credit card or something,
right?
She's like, deal. So we fly out to Baltimore. I started living in Baltimore for like 2-3 months, and that was probably the second like darkest time of my life of just being homeless in Baltimore. But now with this chick, because her family's like, what the fuck are you doing with this drug addict 21-year-old kid? She's like 30 years old with a husband and a family, you know?
Oh man.
So we started doing that, and my mom, or no, so this is what happened. The company that she worked for, or her husband owned, she like hit one of the guys up and was like, hey, like tough times, like, can I meet you for like $100, you know, can I borrow some money? And he's like, yeah, sure, meet us here. We go there, boom, full intervention.
Yeah.
This chick gets like extracted. Like, you can't, like, you guys can't keep doing this, you know? Like, we don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
This girl has a kid and a husband, and they like run a mortgage company.
Oh man.
You know? So they're like, what's your name and where do you live? And I was like, I'm Dallas. Originally from Phoenix, you know, but like came here via Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, we're going to buy you a ticket to Salt Lake. And I was like, I don't have anywhere to go in Salt Lake. And she's like, where the fuck did you come from? I was like, rehab with her in Florida. She's like, you're going back to Florida. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. So they drove me to the airport in Baltimore. I flew back to Florida and then was living with all like the people I met in rehab in Florida that were all using drugs. So then I was like homeless in Florida, bouncing around, fucking doing the crazy drug addict thing. And yeah, I'm trying to think what happened. Basically convinced my mom that I was like sober and was doing good and just kind of living this total lie. Flew back to Utah because there was nothing. I was like living in 2-week motels. Like that's what I was actually doing.
Right.
Using like my food stamp card to like pay for drugs and food, and living in a motel with a bunch of people that relapse on drugs from treatment centers.
Right.
It was almost like a motel trap house, and we'd all like scan and plot and scheme to come up with the week's rent at the hotel, which was like $220, I think. And I was like, dude, this isn't working. We're all really starting to run out of plays. Everyone was starting to throw in the towel. It wasn't working. I go back to Salt Lake, and I think I was there for like 3 months, and I started fucking up. And in our story in our episode where we talk about the things we've learned from recovery, I talked about the story with my grandpa.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where this intersects, is where living with my mom, I got kicked out. I'm homeless, living in a car with my buddy Chris, and we are robbing people, stabbing people, stealing things, doing like now crazier shit than I don't want to say that I was not used to doing, but we were just at a very difficult point. It was winter in Salt Lake. We were sleeping in a car. You know, I wake up in the morning with my fucking feet frozen, frostbitten, couldn't move them, you know? And one day I woke up and got a text from my mom, and she was like, dude, here's a number for a treatment center. Like, you got to go, you know? And so if you didn't listen to that episode, what basically happened, my mom texted me and said, hey, your grandpa had a stroke. I would like to not lose my dad and my son in the same week.
Ugh,
Please go get help.
brutal.
I went and got help that day.
Yeah.
I went to Elevate Addiction Services, which is where me and Jeremy actually work right now.
Yep.
Went there, 90-day treatment program, changed my fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
And I did treatment there. And I think one of the biggest differences is I finally was just done fighting. I was done fighting. I was over it. I hit a new bottom and I had no more moves to make.
Yeah.
And so I did treatment there for 90 days. I started the training program there to become a counselor. Learned the ways of the force, so to say.
Yep.
Met Jeremy, met a bunch of other great people that were sober. And I learned that being sober was cool and it was possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just needed 90 days. I needed a long-term place.
Hard reset, bro.
I needed a hard reset, man.
Amen.
And so I got that hard reset. It wasn't AA. It was completely different type of treatment. It was spiritual. It was holistic. It was real. It was like, hey man, like drugs aren't the problem like you are. You know, what's going on with you? What, like where, why is this happening?
Yeah.
You know? I was
Right.
able to have a conversation about life without being wrong. What I was doing made sense to these people, you know? Yeah, so I did that. I started training. I started working towards becoming a credentialed counselor, and been working there ever since.
Boom.
Getting my fucking life together.
That's right.
Saving money, working out,
Saving lives.
learning how to be a fucking decent person, building relationships.
Yep.
You know, when I came to Elevate, my family said, I don't want to talk to you for a year.
Wow.
Like, we want nothing to do with you until you have a year sober.
Wow.
Like, that's how many bridges that I burned. That's how many relationships I shit on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I think so. That's like the negative, right? All that's the very negative side of it.
Let's bring some sunshine in, dude.
Yeah. And I know we have a whole episode about the sunshine, you know, but just to kind of reiterate some of that sunshine is while at Elevate, I realized that my life was valuable because my grandpa died, you know?
Right.
He died and he was the reason I went and got help, you know? So something about his life and his beingness and his persona reminded me that your life's worthwhile. And I didn't know why at the time, but I was willing to figure it out.
Right.
So that was really, really profound. While at Elevate, I learned responsibility. I realized that my life sucked because I fucking sucked. And that my life was a direct outcome of the decisions and the choices that I made.
Yeah.
Figured out what I was running from, you know? I didn't want to grow up, dude. I didn't want responsibility. I didn't want to feel... I just wanted to only experience pleasure. That's all I wanted.
Right.
With no consequences.
Yep.
And that didn't exist.
No.
And it took me a long time to figure that out.
Yeah. Fuck.
I started opening up about fucking what was going on. I started identifying emotions, what I was feeling, what I was thinking. But I think the biggest thing is I was willing to change. I was willing to listen to somebody else other than me.
Yep.
You know, I knew that I didn't know shit.
That's a hard place to get to, man.
It's a hard place to get to. Like I said, it took 5 treatment centers, 4 outpatients, 3 goddamn sober livings. And, you know, to the audience, I'm leaving so much out because I don't think it all of it is that important. You know, there's a lot of dark in there. There's a lot of ugliness and negatives and fights and, you know, just dark stuff, you know, that my purpose in life is to make sure that people don't have to live that way, or if they are living that way, to know that there's help.
Yeah, man.
And that there's people just like you and me that have been through this and have walked out of it a better person for it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change it I wouldn't change it.
Yep.
I am who I am because of that shit, man.
Yep.
And I think it takes some darkness to see the light, you know?
Absolutely.
What do you say? To be blessed, you have to be cursed first type of thing,
Yeah.
you know? So that was like my curse. And now I'm blessed with this beautiful life because now I'm not taking it for granted,
Amen.
you know? And
Yep.
I don't really know it's hard to end your story because it's still going,
right?
You know, so and I think the audience is very caught up with what's going on now.
Yeah,
right. Me and Jeremy got a podcast. We're
we're
fucking saving lives and being vulnerable and authentic on the mic, and hoping that someone hears what we're saying and realizes A, they can make a change, or B, at least there's people that give a shit.
Hell yeah, a lot of people
that care.
Yeah,
you know, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done. But it's been the most rewarding, and as cliche as that sounds, the truth.
Yep.
The hardest thing I ever had to do was realize that my life sucked because I was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But not wanting to be that person anymore, there's a lot of wisdom there.
Amen.
A lot of learning, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. I don't know what I just said, but that was kind of my experience with the early stages of my life. I kind of fast forwarded through the almost 6 years of recovery.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, we have a podcast or a whole episode of you and me talking about what we've learned in recovery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and I think, you know, the takeaways are, you know, like we get on the mics, you know, and we talk about navigating your emotions and creating space and, you know, being kind to yourself, but also like confronting the brutal truth of your situation and, you know, pointing two fingers at one person, that person being you, you know. And I think without context, it's kind of like, oh, what makes them so high and mighty, you know, like what gives them the right, or, you know. And we try really hard to convey that it's through our experience in life and experience through counseling people who are living the life we once lived.
Yeah, kind of being on both sides.
Exactly.
I've been in the hot seat.
Yep.
I was telling a client the other day, we were doing this assignment of like making amends to the family, you know, but the first part of it is talking about what we did to fuck it up.
Yep.
If you sit with a counselor and you have a past like mine or a past like theirs, where you've done a lot of dirt to the people you care about the most, when you're sober, it's very difficult to have an hour conversation about every bad thing you've done to the people you care about the most.
Yep.
And I always tell them, I said, dude, I've been in the hot seat.
Yep.
When I was at Cirque Lodge, we had a thing called the Ring of Fire. Family Day. Everyone's family's here. You're in a group of 30 clients, and 30 clients as family members. I was one of the clients, and so was my family. They're all there. My sister, my stepdad, my mom, right? 3 people that I brutally hurt, not brutally like physically, but emotionally battered. And they were in the room, right? And the counselor was there, and I was there in a seat, right? It was like a 3-way seat, right? Where I'm sitting with my mom in the Ring of Fire, where there's 30 other clients and 30 other clients' family members, 100 people in the room probably. And the counselor or the therapist would say, there was a dialogue, a way that it had to happen, right? And it would say, tell the client, I had to ask my mom, how has my addiction affected you negatively?
Oh,
She'd respond, and then she would ask me, what did you hear me say?
Oh,
and I have to repeat it back to her.
Jesus.
Right? So you have your mom saying, hey, you know, there's nights that I couldn't sleep. There's nights that I came down in your room and I put a mirror in front of your mouth to see if you were breathing. And if it fogged over, I knew you were breathing. And so I knew you weren't dead, and then I could try and go to sleep.
Jesus.
What did you hear me say?
Fuck.
Right, as you're sitting right there with your mom, the person you love the most in the world, dude.
Good God,
and we went
dude.
like 15 rounds. I had asked the question 15 times, and I'm bawling, dude.
Yeah.
Feeling like the biggest piece of shit in the whole entire world.
Yeah, man.
Cool. So we got through that. All right, let's have your sister come down. How's my addiction affected you, Rem? My sister. You know, oh, it's ruined my life. You've embarrassed the fuck out of me. You've done all these crazy fucking things. What'd you hear me say, Dallas? That the person you look up to the most shit all over you, embarrassed you, and made you feel like a loser and ruined the fucking importance of your family name.
God, dude.
That's what I heard you say.
Wow.
Right? So what I'm trying to say is we have the experience of going through something like that.
Yeah.
And getting through it.
Yeah.
And you can't buy that.
No.
You can't say that you have that if you don't.
You can't learn that at school, man.
You can't read that shit in a book, dude.
No.
You know what I mean? You can't read that in a book. And I think that's what was so special about Elevate is there's someone like you talking to me.
Yeah.
Saying that to me. And I'm like, holy fuck, you get it, man.
Right.
You've experienced that pain. How'd you get through it?
Yep.
This is how.
Yeah.
And I'm all ears.
Right.
So if we can just keep being those people for our audience, for everyone listening to anybody, we'll consider it even.
It's our service, man.
That's our diligence to do.
Yeah, we have to because, we'll get into my story in the next step. But, dude, I mean, I've told people that have been working for us for 5 years. I had one person in particular, a dear friend of the show, and she came to me, much like you, in the hot seat, and she said, she was actually in my office talking to somebody else. And she said, I've done things you couldn't imagine, and there's no way I can make up for it because, the person involved is no longer here, right? So imagine her being in the circle of fire, but the other person, right, is dead.
Yeah.
And she said, there's no way I can do it. And I said, okay, listen to me. Have you ever thought about working in the field? Because, you had this horrible impact. She didn't kill the guy or nothing,
right?
But using drugs, people die, dude. It's just part of the game. And I said, what if you could save 100 lives? She said that wouldn't be good enough. I said, what about 200? She said that wouldn't be good enough. And I said, what if you didn't stop until it felt good enough? And she still works here.
Yeah.
And it's part of for me, it's like, man, I mean, we have to, because we see people like ourselves at this fucking point in life where it's like, what is the point, And we made it out, man.
We did.
Luckily
we did, man.
We are two people that probably shouldn't have, given the crazy shit going down.
Some other stories that would make that a lot more true to the audience. You shouldn't be here, dude.
Yeah. But man,
most people don't shoot 8-ball of heroin every single day.
No.
For a long time.
No, they don't.
Fuck,
man.
And that's like not cool. I'm not saying that's very cool, but that's fucking the reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've seen people OD off of $10 worth of heroin.
Yep.
Let alone doing $200, $250 a day.
A day.
$250 of crack.
Yep.
It's fucking insane. It's unheard of. Who does that?
For the non-addicts at home, that's a lot. Well, Dall, I appreciate your vulnerability, man, and telling a story. It's painful, man.
Yeah. There's a lot of feelings going on right now. I'm like fired up. I'm like still mad at myself. Like I'm hearing myself talk about myself, and I'm like, fuck that guy.
All right, let me ask you a question, Dall.
What is it?
If you were in the ring of fire right now, and your mom Lisa was sitting in the chair, right? And she asked you, or no, you had to ask her, what is my recovery? How has my recovery affected you?
What do you think she would say?
What do you think she'd say, man?
Honestly, I think she would say that it might have been one of the best things that's ever happened to her. I think she's found a lot of peace, a lot of clarity, a lot of love, a lot of gratitude, a lot of positive.
Yep.
And there's definitely been so much positive that's come from it. I think that's what she would say. I think she would just hug me and say, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that. Like I needed you to do that.
Yep.
That's what I think she would say, man.
What would Rem say?
I think Rem would say that she got her brother back, and that to her that was priceless.
Yep.
And maybe it's inspired her, and to some degree. I don't want to speak for her, but I think she knows that she got a better brother back in return.
Yep.
She's got someone that'll be there till the end type of thing.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So I think she would say.
I had to throw it to that because,
needed that.
You're living in that pain. But man, I'll tell you what.
What a reframe, huh?
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's the reframe.
Hey, take your own advice sometimes, you know? It works.
It's like we do this for a living or something, But but I'll tell you this, man, it's hard to answer for other people because, you're modest and you don't, it's hard to put words to emotions like that, but when Lisa and Rem and Phil, when they're all out here, dude, and seeing you guys together and seeing the pictures, you and Jeff out in Florida with your girl, and I mean, that's it, dude. That's what they got.
We got it back,
It's but better
than ever.
Yeah, man.
It's more real,
Yeah, and that in a really weird kind of roundabout way, it makes all the pain that much more worth it.
It does. It does. Makes you appreciate it, because I didn't have it.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you got to hurt real bad, dude, to understand and appreciate the good feelings,
Yeah. And what's truly important.
Exactly.
We get all caught up in the shit that doesn't really matter.
Yep.
There's only a couple things that really matter,
Yep.
I think family's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
They say there's only so many people that love you in the world, There's only so many people.
Yeah.
We all probably got about like 6 or 7 people that actually love you.
Yep.
Those people are pretty important.
Fuck yeah, dude. You feel all right?
I feel good. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that was, I think this is fucking real for people to see. Like, talking about the past that in depth is unsettling.
I know.
That's how real that was for me.
I felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel it, man.
I mean, man, it's like something you're not like very proud of to just tell publicly, openly, like, dude, this is what I was doing before I fucking was telling you what to do.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think, I think so many people have asked because they can sense that, I've said it for a long time, man, people are more tuned in than I think we may realize.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many people asked us, like, dude, tell your story, share your stories, and that's a big thing in the recovery community, right?
Right.
We tell our stories, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how other people on day one can say, dude, I could get there. Like, are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
But outside the recovery community, there's so much stigma and hate and fucking misinformation. And, and so I feel like our audience wanted that, enough people of our audience wanted that because it's like, man, like at what point did these guys like really tune in,
Absolutely.
And it's like, man, when you fucking swim to the bottom of the ocean and your fucking tank fails and you got to figure out a way to fucking make it work, you learn a lot.
That's when you get attuned.
You learn a lot, dude.
Yeah. What do they say when you burn the ships?
Yeah.
Because Tony Robbins says that, dude. If you're about to go to war and you burn the ships, leave yourself no other option. Like, you got to take the island.
Yeah.
Because you burn the ships.
Right. Dude.
The ships were burnt, dude.
Yep. I like it, man. And I think it's good for people to know more about us,
I think so too. And there's obviously a lot more to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, I mean, we appreciate you guys taking an interest in us and where we come from and how we fucking navigated life.
Yeah. Amen.
Right? It works for us. Hopefully it works for somebody else.
Damn straight, dude.
And that's just how simple it is.
Right.
A lot of us have similar struggles.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's why, like, it's so easy for us to reframe a bad day, because it's like, well, at least I'm not waking up homeless looking for heroin.
Yeah,
in Rochester, New York.
Yeah, like, it's way better today,
Yeah,
like,
fuck,
I just don't have gas, or it's
Yeah.
just raining.
Yeah, it's just raining out.
It's just raining, dude,
Yeah.
like shit.
Like, it's just traffic.
Yeah, like, you have a bed and a house and a bank account. And
Right.
that's okay.
Yeah, dude. Fucking sick-ass girlfriend, cool-ass family.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Got a lot to be grateful for. I guess so maybe that's my takeaways.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking sober, dude.
Hell
That's
yeah.
always my takeaway. But because the show isn't just recovery, it's it's life.
Yep.
My takeaway every day is that I'm sober.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Because I know without it I have nothing.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we'll end on that, dude.
Let's end on that.
Without
And
that, we got nothing.
we're going to save all the plugs. We'll see you on the next episode where I get deep.
Deep in what?
I don't know.
Stay tuned.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in today. on today's episode. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming today.
Thank you for being here with me at my house.